Hello everyone, this is Flavia and I hope all is well. In this video, we will be making some adorable note cards featuring some of Spellbinders March 2025 clubs. Spellbinders offers a wide variety of subscription clubs and here are just a few of them. This first one is the stencil club for this month, which is called Mosaic and Quilt Memories. This month's stencil club comes with two different layering stencil sets. This first one has 2 layers and the other one has 3 layers that we can use to create beautiful panels, and they are so much fun to use. Then we have the large die club for this month named Family and Friends Vignettes, with lots of plates included that we can use to cut out beautiful blooms, a small arched frame, a puppy and a dinosaur, along with a few accessories for them. And here we have the We Are All Family Hot Foil set, released as March 2025 Glimmer Kit of the Month. With this set, we have a large hot foil plate and the coordinating die plate that will allow us to hot foil and cut out many sentiment strips at once. It is also included in this set this script style plate that we can use to hot foil the words mom and dad, and it also has the coordinating die cutting plate, which is just perfect. Before we begin, I want to show you a couple of note cards that I made a few days ago using this large die club just to demonstrate how versatile this die set is. For this one, I only used the plates to cut out these gorgeous blooms and leaves, and I combined it with the stitching die club. I liked it so much that I ended up making it in 2 different colors, and if I can find the time, I would definitely be releasing a video showing you the process for making these note cards as well. However, since life has been crazy busy and I am not really sure that will happen, I decided to show you today just so you can see that the design options are endless with this die set. So today in this video we will be creating a completely different design using the same die set. But first we will begin by stenciling 2 white panels, and here is a closer look at the ink pad colors that I will be using today. The plan was to make only 2 note cards, but since I had a lot of fun, I ended up with 4 note cards, and I will give you a closer look at all of them at the end of this video. By the way, this pink corner piece that I placed on top of my sticky mat is just a piece of cardstock that I laminated and cut out into this L-shaped piece just to help me quickly line up the stencil with the cardstock as I switch layers. The reason why I decided to laminate the cardstock is so I can easily clean up when I'm done stenciling and reuse it over and over again. This first set only has 2 stencil layers, and I will begin with yellow ink and then switch to blue, making sure to wipe off each stencil layer with a clean cloth before moving on to the next layer. This sticky mat is holding my pink corner and the cardstock in place, which is very helpful, and I'm using a piece of purple tape to tape the stencil to the pink corner so it doesn't shift as I'm adding ink. Stenciling is a very fun and easy technique and a great way to create unique background panels such as this first one. Moving on to the second stencil set, I will begin with blue ink, then I will add yellow on the second layer, and for the last one I will use an orange color ink pad. I'm using Simon Says stamp brushes to apply ink, however keep in mind that you can use any ink pads and any brushes that you might already have. To save us some time, I will skip most of the stenciling process, and here is a closer look at the second finished panel. Before we move on to the next phase, here is a tip for cleaning up your stencils. I like to place it over a clean cloth and wipe it off each side of the stencil with alcohol and another clean cloth. Alcohol is great for removing ink from stencils, and there is no drying time when cleaning them up this way. Today's note cards are A2 size side folding. I will be using white card bases that I already had ready to go, and at the front of each note card I will add a blue panel cut from Spellbinders cardstock in the color Blue Island. To make it easier for me to line up the note card with the panel as I glue them together, I like to place my note card on the corner of my scoring board. I will actually be trimming my A2 size note cards a little bit off just because later I will be making my own matching envelopes with a die set by Stampandas, and I started to notice that when I add too much dimension to my A2 size note cards, the fit is pretty tight. So I am just trying to be safe here, but you don't really have to do this. Over the blue panel, I will be adding a slightly smaller stenciled panel, so there is only a little bit of the blue showing at the front. If you do not have any rectangular dies like this, you can simply use a paper trimmer to trim off your stenciled panels. I meant to use a die plate to cut it to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, so there is more of the stenciled panel showing, but I accidentally grabbed a smaller plate and ended up cutting out these panels to 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, which I think it's fine. Not what I wanted, but I decided to just keep on moving. By the way, as I was die cutting my first panel, my Platinum 6 machine made that really loud sound at the end, and that is because I had accidentally placed this large die plate straight on my platform. In case that happens to you as well, know that a trick to avoid that is to place a large die plate slightly on a diagonal, as I am doing here. This is a trick that works every time, and I highly encourage you to do so, just to avoid overworking the die cutting machine and to avoid any warping on the plates. Since I have my Platinum machine out, I will also go ahead and die cut all of the needed pieces, beginning with these small arched panels. I will cut out the panels from white cardstock and the frame for the panel out of Spellbinders Blue Island cardstock. Then, using strong liquid adhesive, I will glue each stenciled panel to the front of an A2 size note card. And then I will add the arched frames on top, right in the center. I also die cut all of the needed pieces to make 2 adorable puppies using cardstock scraps, and I will use the Belly Art Glue to glue all of these pieces together. I will go over these very small pieces for the eyes with a black gel pen to make them black and very glossy. However, since these are very small pieces, I will first place them over this piece of purple tape that I have taped on my desk with the sticky side up, just to hold my die cuts in place as I do so. Since it takes a while to dry, I will go ahead and finish gluing the other pieces together as I wait for the black ink to dry. I also have a clear gel pen that I will now use to make the tongue and the nose glossy, and here is a closer look at the result. Small details like this takes no time at all, and I think it makes all the difference at the end, and I love doing so. For the accessories, I cut out a golden bone from Spellbinders Mirror Gold cardstock, and a hat and a pair of slippers from Spellbinders cardstock in the colors Blue Island and Cosmic Sky. I actually ended up not adding the hats for some reason, which I highly regret it now, since it looks adorable. I decided to adhere each puppy over that white arched panel, and I used liquid glue to adhere the lower body to the note card, and then foam squares for the upper body so it has a little bit of dimension. When I first glued this white arched panel to the note card, I did notice that it wasn't really straight. However, for some reason, I decided to just ignore it until I just couldn't anymore. And that is why now, as I am panicking just a little bit, I will try to rescue this note card by carefully removing the arched panel and frame with a craft knife first, just to lift the edges and remove the blue frame. And then I will pull the edges of this white panel towards the center before I pull everything off. And now, using a T-ruler, which by the way is what I should have done at the beginning, I will now add another white frame on top, making sure that it is straight this time, so I can add another puppy, and this one will be playing with a pair of slippers. For the sentiment, I hot foiled lots of sentiment strips using Spellbinders polished brass foil, and now I will be using the coordinating die plate to cut all of this out at once. The sentiment options are great and just perfect for many different occasions. Off screen, I also die cut extra strips from white cardstock scraps so I can stack them for dimension, and here is a closer look at the final result. I love how it turned out, and I just can't get over how adorable these puppies are. To make the matching envelopes, I used die plates included in the Stampendo's A2 gift card holder and envelope die set to cut out the pieces to make these pocket-shaped envelopes, and I cut it from 80 pounds cardstock that I found on my stash and perfectly matched the note cards. If you're interested, I have a list of all products used in the description box down below, and if you make something inspired by this video, make sure to tag me on Instagram. For pictures and more information, remember to visit my blog. As always, thank you so much for spending this time with me, and happy crafting!